everybody, John Van Dyke here for New Jersey Exposed. Today is Friday, December 9th, 2022. Time is 12 noon, Jersey time, and let me tell you, it's a sunny but very windy, cold Jersey time here. And I'm in Union Beach, down by the water, taking in the sights. So, all right, well, we got some more well-trained professional idiots out there risking our lives as they protect and serve the government. This one comes out of Connecticut. We got some Connecticut professional idiots. This is reported on the AP Associated Press. The other day, there was 5 officers that were transporting a prisoner and in the back of a van, and he didn't have seatbelts on, and I guess they stopped, had to hit the brakes hard, and this guy went flying, got hurt, and he pleaded with them, hey, I can't feel my body, something's wrong, and they just laugh at him and tell him to suck it up, and which brings us to the next story here, and this is on, this came out yesterday, so that'd be December 8th, I guess. Anyway, it's 5 officers charged in police van injury case appear in court, and here it is right here. Take a good look at it. There it is. Some more well-trained professional heroes. Okay, so I'm going to read this one because it had the update on it rather than the original story. 5 Connecticut police officers appeared in court for the first time Thursday since being charged with cruelly neglecting a black man after he was partially paralyzed in the back of a police van, despite his repeated and desperate pleas for help. Well, when you're desperately pleading for help, it has no bearing on narcissists, because what have I told you about narcissists? They don't have empathy. They are devoid of empathy. Now, there's different levels of it. You can have some that do have a little, and you can have some that have none. And that's pretty much what is attracted to the law enforcement community, narcissists, because you can't have empathy if you're out there jamming people up over bullshit stuff, right? New Haven officers briefly faced a judge who continued their cases to January 11th. All 5 officers who did not speak in court remain free on $25,000 bail and have been unpaid no less. They've been charged and they're still on paid leave. Isn't that something? Only in law enforcement. I sound like a broken record. If that had been you on your job, or you cause a customer or somebody does business with you, you cause them injury, is your boss going to tell you, hey, go home and we'll pay you and we'll sort things out from there? No, they don't going to do that. They're going to say, look, you can't come to work. You've been charged. You did this on the job. You're screwed. But only in law enforcement do they get to have a paid administrative leave. I say that, all right, you've been charged. Okay, we're going to put you on leave. No pay. If it's found that you're not guilty and you've been exonerated, then you get your money. But not to sitting home, eating cereal and watching cartoons. Richard Randy Cox, 36, is being driven in a van without seatbelts. Well, I see a lawsuit coming already because they transported him in a van that does no seatbelts in it. And that's a problem right there, right? Something's going to happen. You're handcuffed and you can't balance yourself right. He was being driven in a van without seatbelts to a New Haven police station June 19th for processing on a weapons charge. The authorities said the van's driver braked hard to avoid a collision, causing Cox to fly headfirst into a metal partition between the driver's compartment and the passenger's section. Now, let me tell you, I've seen the back of these transport vans. Years ago, when I was in the communications business, I had to work on a few of those vehicles, and it's all metal in the back. There's no nice softy seats for you to sit on. They're not bucket seats to hold you in place. Nope, it's just a metal platform that you sit on. And I don't recall ever seeing any seat belts in those either, but they may have them in there. Headfirst in the metal partition between the driver's compartment and the passenger's section. Cox, who was handcuffed at the time, was left paralyzed from his chest down. Imagine that. Man, I can't move. I'm going to die like this. Please, please, please help me, Cox said minutes after the crash, according to police camera video. The officer driving the van, Oscar Diaz, stopped a few minutes later to check on him. According to the video and officials, Cox was lying motionless on the floor, and Diaz called paramedics. However, Diaz told them to meet him at the station instead of waiting for them, according to Police Chief Carl Jacobson, who has also said Diaz violated police policy. You would think he called headquarters or dispatch and said that we had a brake hard, we got a prisoner here, may be injured. What would you like us to do? That would be the thing to do. Should we wait for paramedics, or should we continue on our transport? Appears from this that's not the case. At the station, some of the officers mocked Cox and accused him of being drunk and faking his injuries. According to dialogue captured by surveillance and body-worn camera footage, Cox was later found to have a fractured neck and was paralyzed. So this is how I would handle this. So after the lawsuit is been determined and judged on, which this guy will get this money, that all those officers that were caught on camera mocking him, that they should pay a portion of that lawsuit. Don't you think so, people? See, this is how you're gonna put it in. You hit them in the pocket, put them in jail. That's how you handle this. It's the only way things are gonna stop. But you know how it goes with the gang. They cover for one another, and the bootlickers out there enable all of it, because the bootlickers will just say, well, you know, you should have been acting stupid. They'll have some stupid excuse for bad police behavior. Officers drag Cox, oh my goodness, drag Cox by his feet from the van and place him in a holding cell prior to his eventual transfer to the hospital. Now, I'm no paramedic, I'm no first aider, but I do know that if somebody says to me, I can't move my body, and they were just involved in a accident, well, potential accident where they had a hard break and he went flying, that this man may have a potential neck injury, and not to move them until the paramedics get it, can put the neck brace on him and get a backboard on him. Diaz and the other four officers, Sergeant Betsy Segui, S-E-G-U-I, Officer Ronald Presley, Officer Jocelyn Lavender, and Officer Louis Rivera, were charged on November 20. Second-degree reckless endangerment and cruelty to persons, both misdemeanors. Isn't that ridiculous? Misdemeanors. After the court appearance, the officers' lawyers Gregory Ciritelli and John Keefe said they could not comment on the criminal charge because they had not yet received documents, video, and other evidence from the police prosecutors. Now, it's interesting because this is second-degree reckless endangerment and cruelty to persons, both misdemeanors, but they got them out on $25,000 bail. So that's interesting that it's at such a high bail rate like that. Cox family filed a $100 million federal lawsuit against the city of New Haven and the 5 officers in September. City officials announced this week that they were pursuing an early settlement. Isn't that nice? So they're going to do an early settlement, all right, $50 million. The guy will probably walk away with $1 million. But, you know, he's going to have a lifetime of medical bills because you're paralyzed, man. You can't shit. You can't wipe your ass. You can't eat. You can't walk. You can't do anything. You are 100% dependent on other people. So he's going to have a lifelong of medical bills, and even if he got $1 million, that's nothing. He's probably got $1 million in medical bills already. And they're going to do this early settlement, and of course there'll be a non-disclosure clause in that, which means the family can't talk about it, and it also means that the city of New Haven will not admit to any guilt, and they'll just give the taxpayers money away once again, and not $1 will come out of those officers' pockets, because as we already know, they're being home on paid leave. The only money coming out of their pocket is for the lawyer, and who knows, maybe the PBA, the police union, is paying for the lawyers. You know how the gang goes, they stick together. Cox lawyer, including Ben Crump, have said the case reminds them of Freddie Gray's death. Yes, it does. In Baltimore, Gray, a 25-year-old black man, died in 2015 after he suffered a spinal injury while handcuffed and shackled in a Baltimore van. Crump has said the misdemeanor charges against the New Haven officers were a slap on the wrist, and I agree, and they should have been charged with felonies. you know, it's just another example of how these bad cops, these narcissistic psychopaths, view people that they deal with. They view them as non-humans, people not worthy of any kind of compassion whatsoever. You know, it's just the same story over and over about these cops. It's the same cop over and over and over, just a different name and a different scenario. You're dealing with these narcissists, and wherever these narcissist psychopaths go, they leave a trail of problems behind them, of misery. In response to how Cox was handled, New Haven Police announced a series of reforms, including eliminating use of police vans for most prisoner transports, using marked police vehicles instead, and requiring officers to ensure people being transported are wearing seat belts. Officers also must immediately call for an ambulance to respond to the location if prisoner requests or appears to need medical aid. You needed somebody to tell you that. They needed a policy to tell them that. You know, if they have a seatbelt in the back of these transport vehicles, well, it's a van, I get. Hold on, let me think about this. Now, there's two kinds of transport vehicles that I have seen in my own personal dealings. Is, well, not me being transported like that, but I see where they're like these metal vans, like almost like something you see a plumber use. It's a metal van with a rear door, and it's all metal inside, and they just slip in. That's the ones I've seen. And the other kind I've seen, which if you ever saw my video outside of a Trenton State Prison, they have regular vans that they can transport them in. But I'm sure they'll cry, well, you know, it's a danger factor if we put them in there and try to put the seatbelt around them. In response, use of marked police cars and requiring officers to ensure, all the things that these idiots, these well-trained idiots, should already know. If you slam the brakes on, if somebody's in your car and you slam the brakes on and they're in the back seat and they go flying forward and hit their head on the side of the window, what's the first thing you do? Hey, you all right? But see, narcissists don't do that because they don't have empathy. And these officers here, and this is my feelings about it, after doing so many stories, these are officers who hate their job. They hate the fact that they got to deal, let's face it, in law enforcement, you're not dealing with lily whites every day or all nice, polite, and want to suck up to you and tell you how great you are. You're dealing with people in life, the downtrodden, the people in life who don't make very good decisions. They didn't have the proper upbringing. They're failed. Their parents failed them, society failed them at some point along the way. And these cops, they hate it. They hate dealing with it every day, especially in the city areas like that. Things a little different around where I'm at here. It's a little nicer area. But when you're dealing with this kind of stuff every day, I think they just get cynical about everything, and they have no compassion whatsoever. And I think we should put a law in the books for failure to have compassion, or maybe failure to exhibit empathy, and make that a felony. And that's what you could charge these five idiots here. So anyway, I suspect nothing will happen to these officers. They'll be put on suspension, and they'll plead guilty. They'll make some deal. They'll downgrade the thing to one charge. They'll pay a fine. Maybe they're going to be suspended for 90 days. Who the hell knows? And once again, the taxpayers flip the bill and take responsibility for bad police. I'm John Van Dyke for New Jersey Exposed. The link will be in the description, and you can go read it yourself. And as always, let me know what you think in the comments section. I read all the comments, and sometimes I do respond. Also, I highly recommend you follow me on Facebook, Gunnison Undercover. Every day, I post stories that I come across about bad cops being arrested, being sentenced, charged, whatever you want to call it. It's there every day, and some of those stories are the stories that I do, video stories that I do. So if you don't want to hear me flap my jaws, you could just go to Gunnison Undercover, follow the page, and read the stories yourself, and you can bypass me. You don't have to look at my face. You don't have to hear me with my commentary if you so desire. So anyway, till next time, people.
It's hard to see officers charged, but it's also part of what we've been talking about since the beginning. We need to be transparent and accountable, period. The state's attorney spent a lot of time reviewing the information provided to him and made the decision based on what he felt the most appropriate charges were.
The 5 officers remain on paid leave. The city investigation will now resume.
I still have a decision to make that could be harsher or more lenient, who knows, but I need to look at this objectively and make the right decision for the police department and the city.